This meeting is being recorded.
Ooh.
How's it going?
Good, dude. I'm all right. How are you?
We spoke to each other. For me, it was still today, but I guess it was a part of your yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you get? 6 hours of sleep? 7?
A little bit less. I ended up going to bed at like 6:30.
What is your I like that you live on that time zone because we get to catch up you're still awake when I wake up with my kids in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're kind of getting your day going as I'm winding down. What do you do between 2:30 to 5:30?
I usually get home around like 3 or 4. Some nights, and I kind of just like play guitar. The best songs that I've written are usually written around that time, and like painting and like hanging out with Fredo, who's like being a weirdo right now and like staring at me and like
he's a very judgmental cat.
He's kind of judgy. He's a little creepy at times. But yeah, I don't know. I just like can't really help it.
I can't turn my brain off. I have to like really make it a point to try and shut down.
Yeah.
But like in my early 20s, before I had kids, I mean, it was like near impossible to shut down my brain. And I think it's still running. I have like super vivid stress dreams all the time. And I wake up and it's still running again.
Yeah.
So when we were making the record, now that we're actual friends and know each other, how difficult was it starting so early in the day? Because we like to get going at like 10:30.
You know, see, honestly, like my team and stuff, like the people that have traveled with me, the people that have worked with me over the years, like when I have to wake up early, apparently I'm like a monster. Like I'm just a creature in the mornings, and it's just like not a fun time for anybody, myself included. But this last, I mean, when we were doing the album, I was up, like, and I was like ready to go, especially like that first day. Like it did take me a few days to really get used to that. Mm-hmm. If I'm really motivated, like I can switch my sleep schedule pretty quickly and like pretty quickly like adjust and like make it work. And then as soon as I'm done doing what I'm doing, then my sleep schedule will go back to how it is now.
Because I'm sure with international traveling, doing modeling, stuff like that, like the hours must be pretty different than what is normal. It's kind of a similar thing when we go to Australia or, other places and we have like a show the next day. You're like, well, 7 a.m. in my brain.
Yeah.
What else is new?
He's licking my knee. Stop, dude. He's so
he knows the camera's on. That's the worst part.
Yeah. He's just like essentially fucking with me. You want to tell me a little bit more about your record?
Sure. We just announced. You just heard it for the first time in full. I sent it to you last week. You gave incredibly kind reviews. Too kind. Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting for almost 4 years to release new music. So, sitting on it. And then by the time we were working with you, like we was done. We were just sort of trying to figure out how, we could sort the right way to put it out. So it was funny to like be done with our record, make your record came out, all the while still waiting for our record to be out. People seem to like the song. So that's a really awesome feeling. And yeah, I don't know. It's like, we talked about before, there's this feeling when you're making music, you're creating something, especially if it connects with other people, that all of a sudden the song is like no longer your song and it belongs out there. And maybe it never was your song to begin with. There's just a level of gratitude, I feel, with that, getting messages from people saying how much it's already like helping them or affecting them and encouraging them. I think it's nice. I'm really proud of the record for so many reasons, but I really like that it has a positive vibe to it, even though it's kind of gloomy and dark in spots. But it feels nice to be working on something and promoting something that's like, I think similar to your record, it's like it's a record full of like really tough moments and growth, but essentially it's about, whatever you and I are both into, being a better person, doing the work to try and do that.
Yeah, dude, I love the sad stuff though. I love those.
Well, it's kind of the only way you can connect to it. I think there's like that element of, sad with redemption. There's like almost nothing better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's honest.
What's your top 5, like right off the top of the head, saddest, most crushing songs?
That's rough. Like right off the dome.
Yeah, but off the dome. You don't have to like go deep. I'll think of mine.
Can I like think out loud?
Yeah, we should both think out loud. It's not fun if we don't think out loud for anyone listening.
It's just like
me and you.
Well, off the Black Mile, I'm just gonna list one of your couple.
Well, they're all gonna be my songs.
They're all gonna be your songs. No, I'll list a few others that aren't yours, but
please.
Fucking off of the Black Mile demos, each part, which Black Mile, the parts. It's not really a sad song, is it? It's about
not really. I mean, I guess it's a lovely song. Yeah, I guess but it's like.
It rips my heart out. I said, from what I gather, it's about birth, which is an amazing and beautiful thing, and I imagine you singing it to Amy, but it just like
it's certainly her song, and that moment of like, she went through this insane natural childbirth, and you're seeing this woman like defy all science, and it's just this like unbelievable holy thing that you're witnessing. And then the love multiplies even more in a crazy way. Anything dealing with kids, fatherhood, motherhood, stuff like that, that'll get me.
Yeah.
I feel like Fire and Rain by James Taylor. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Another really sweet one, Rockabye Sweet Baby James. It's like not a sad song, but when you listen to it, it's just the saddest, sweetest thing about this cowboy just sitting underneath the stars missing his family.
I don't know if I know that one. You have to send it to me. I know the Fire and Rain one. I love Fire and Rain.
That's an unbelievable, crushing song.
Yeah. Big Plastic by Radiohead. That one fucks me up.
He is so good, I assume, at writing really clever songs that like are narratives, which I don't really feel like I hear all that much from him anymore. I'm not complaining. I love everything they do, but a lot on the bins, it felt like those songs were like songs, the really great verses that the second verse added on top of the first verse of what the meaning was. And that song always gets me. I forget how good the lyrics are to that one.
Oh, also, this is actually a Rob recommended this song to me when we were making the album. It's ILC 37D by Graham.
Oh, that's a crusher.
Dude, yeah. It messed me up. Because I remember adding it to a couple playlists without hearing it yet, and then it ended up coming up on shuffle like a few weeks later after I got home. And I'm just like driving, and it just like I think I audibly was just like, what? Like listening to the lyrics, like I had like a actual audible reaction to it.
Have you heard the song? We covered it, but it's the Avett Brothers, No Hard Feelings. Have you ever heard that song?
Is it Avett or Avett? I trust you, but
I have no idea. I've always said Avett. Let's call it Avett. Who cares?
Obviously, Avett.
Nothing but love. Have you heard that tune before?
I don't know if I've heard that one, but they've got some really, really good sad songs.
Absolutely. So that song, I'll send it to you after we're done here, but that song, I heard it on there's a TV show on Netflix called Love, and it was playing in a scene on it, and just hearing like the bridge of it caught me. I'm like, what is this? And obviously I'd heard of them but hadn't spent a ton of time on their records. And that's a song that I put on. And it was like, when anybody says they connect to my words and my lyrics, when I have moments like I had with them in this song, it means that much more to me, because it's like you were saying with that Granddaddy song. I'm just immediately like weeping. He's got this incredible line where he goes, under the curving sky, I'm finally learning why it matters for me and you and for all people too. Life and its loveliness and all of its ugliness. Essentially this guy going, and when it's all said and done, I don't want to have any enemies in my life. Beautiful sentiment. But that one got me. I think we've listed 5.
Yeah. And pretty much all of I'm Wide Awake It's Morning album by Bright Eyes.
Ooh, that's a good album.
Specifically like Lua and Landlocked Blues. Really,
I haven't listened to that album in forever.
Dude, please re-listen to it. Like, every time I listen to it again with like a good amount of time in between, it just like, it keeps.
I was in high school when that record came out. I think I was a sophomore in high school, and he was so prolific and such a big thing that was happening. Like, each time he'd come to Atlanta, there would be double the amount of people. And he released that record and the Digital Ash and the Digital Urn album on the same day. And it was this coolest thing that he released these 2 records. Remember that? And he did 2 different tours for each record. I saw the Wide Awake tour. Yeah, that guy's really good.
He's really good. Speaking of shows, are you like planning on
never again?
Like,
and so we've retired. It's over.
You have a bit of a promise to uphold with me.
Oh, is it to rip a guitar solo with one hand?
Yes.
That's my vow. We do. I mean, we hope. I think everybody's in the same situation. We are really hopeful that the end of the year will happen. Who knows if it will? If it doesn't, you gotta hope that sometime next year would be really good. Mm-hmm. I miss it so much. I didn't expect that I would miss it as much as I do, but it's become a real a connection I'm missing. I think for doing it for so long, for so many years, you start to take it for granted. And it wasn't that I took it for granted and not being grateful for it, but I didn't realize how much it was sort of feeding me.
Right.
I mean, you had really, when did you start performing for me? Was it the last couple years?
Yeah, over the last like 2-3 years.
So do you miss it after getting a sweet taste of it for a moment?
I really do, man. I really do. But I miss like live shows in general. Just like whether it's me performing in the audience, like there's just something about it. I was talking to my friend about it last night, who you know of and helped me access a record for him. And he's into like really hardcore death metal, which is like, I dig it. Like, it's cool. Like, I can get down with like Blind Witness, like all those bands named after like dying babies and infant abortion and things like that. Like, it's cool, but it's not my favorite. But just out of like desperation, he's like, there's this backyard show next month. And I was like, let's go. I want to go.
You gotta go.
Something about being in an audience, even if I don't necessarily love the music.
Backyard shows, man. Did you go to DIY shows?
I've been to a couple. Yeah, I've been to a couple. There's a bunch of them out in LA that they do every now and then. It's like a skate park punk show thing that they do. There's a huge like punk scene on the east side of LA, and I'm usually on the west side. But
there's like the funniest part about funniest, but the best part about hardcore and like up and coming hardcore bands and punk bands was that you would play anywhere. So you would like. You can play like a pet shop, but it's going to be the darkest, heaviest music that you've ever heard in your life. Or like, so many churches that never knew what were going to hit them with like this, incredible hardcore bands just screaming their asses off. Robert was in a hardcore band for a while when he was like 12 or 13. I remember seeing Robert hardcore dance at a garage show. He was like 15.
Like mosh skipping kind of thing?
you know, like there's a certain kind of hardcore dancing that has to do with kicking. It's a very like it's almost karate involved. Yeah. So it's very you're waxing it off and on, and you're legging. You know, he was doing that kind of shit.
That is awesome.
Speaking of Robert, right around that time, he got kicked out of school for wearing girls' pants to school.
That's so cool.
That was another claim to fame for him.
I had a rough time in school as well with what I wore, because there's this one school I went to for about 3 years, and it was like uniforms, and you like couldn't wear your boots with a skirt. Like it was just, I don't know what it was. There was just something against boots and skirts, and I refused, and I just wore my combat boots and my Doc Martens every day.
I was about to say, you probably had enormous boots on.
So much detention, my dude. Like, so much, because I just, like, refused. And I'm like, I'm going to wear my ripped leggings and my combat boots and draw on myself, because I obviously didn't have many tattoos when I was younger. So I would just, like, draw all over myself.
I would, too. I was a big Sharpie on the arm guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a way to express yourself. I would Sharpie on everything. Yeah. Sharpie on shoes, Sharpie on books.
That was a fun thing. I have my sneakers from 8th grade, and I've got so many like song lyrics from 8th grade. Like I've got like an Arctic Monkeys song on one shoe, a quote from Heathers on another part.
Amazing.
I had like a bunch of like 80s glam rock bands, hair bands, like logos. I drew on the other.
When in this period of time would we place your look of the Air Force Ones, Harry Potter robe?
That,
because that's the coolest look I've seen you've had so far.
Coolest I have ever been, and one day I hope to get back to that.
Let's break it down for the people. It was Air Force Ones, I think. Harry Potter robe,
sparkly blue ones too,
and a Chris Angel purse, the coup de grace.
Yeah, dude. Somehow my glasses just keep getting wider and wider over the years, because they were just like
there's tiny ones.
They just keep getting bigger.
Yeah, I was in. My first band I started was an a cappella rap group, which just meant I didn't know how to play the instrumentation, and I had just a tape machine I could just talk into. It was called Brain Freeze. I was like 7. I figured out how to rig this stereo speaker to record stuff on tape, and it's so funny. It's like this tiny little voice, prepubescent voice, just trying to rhyme but can't. But I made my mom take promo photos of me, because clearly I knew I was going to be a star.
You have them.
Dude, I have to find them. She has them. I'll have to send them to you. But it's like turtleneck for sure, like brown turtleneck, like green vest, a chain with a cross. You know, obviously I kept my priorities straight. I think Atlanta Braves baseball hat, and it's just like.
Oh man, how old are you?
7 or 8, maybe incredible. 3rd grade, maybe older, 9, 10. I was 15.
You're getting older. I was actually. This was actually last year.
It was right before Manchester's first record.
That is awesome. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I feel bad for There's so many artists that get, and actors too, just so young. It's like it must be so hard to try and continue to especially if the art was great immediately. And then I know there's a ton of people who had a bunch of awful bands or a bunch of awful records and stuff they worked on, before they made it. I definitely have bands, EPs that lots of the dudes I went to high school I'm still friends with. A couple of them have like still on their Windows computers. Just like, let's just keep it on that hard drive, please. Yeah. No one needs to hear the first 3 songs I ever did.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky, I guess. The first couple songs that I wrote weren't absolute shit. Which usually.
How old were you when you wrote them?
Like,
you're a teenager?
Yeah, between 13 and 15.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. What's the name of that song?
Geronimo.
That's right.
That first one. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my poetry was pretty bad back then.
As it is for most, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, I got pretty lucky in that sense. But I still do continue to write like really bad songs that I just like throw out and don't really show anybody.
Same. I mean, I got a new computer and I was going through voice memos, and it has a new voice memo feature I didn't know about that syncs everything from your phone to your computer. And it was syncing everything from the earliest backup of my phone. There was like 1,000+ demos since 2012. And it was like once every 6 there was something that was kind of worth holding on to. Several. It's like, oh, you didn't really know what you were doing there. But I think songwriting is like fishing in that sense. Like, you got to spend the time trying to catch something. And even if it's not trying to like change the world with a song, I do think sitting down, the act of it, trying to get something out. And even when I don't have something to say, then it's at least something where you can like experiment with chord structures and melodies, even if the words aren't there. I think it's always good to write bad songs.
Yeah. I'm trying to get more comfortable with playing chords that I don't know. So I've been playing the same 10 chords for like 10 years now, and there's only so much I can do with them. All of the songs kind of start to sound the same. So I'm like, I swore off bar chords a long time ago, and here I am again, like trying to play them and
Well, bar chords are fun. I mean, with the distortion pedal, they're extra fun. But if you can do the really fancy bar chords, then yeah, there's tons of like really tasty things to mess around with. Do you have a chord chart? How are you learning them? How are you teaching yourself?
I've always kind of learned to and through friends. That's kind of always done it.
Say that again. I lost you.
I've always like just used YouTube and like learned from my friends. Like, I've had a friend that's been trying to teach me the B minor for like ages, and I like every time he brings it up, he mentions, he's like, yeah,
every time he brings it up.
I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna learn a B minor, even though he's like really adamant about it.
You would love the B minor, knowing your personality. That was
what I'm saying, because it's like a huge. I mean, Radiohead uses it all the time. The Beatles use it. But I finally learned it. I just haven't started implementing it into my music yet.
That's an exciting period of time. I still am that way. When I got my ukulele, or we were doing all those Christmas songs, the actual chords that were being played during some of those songs are definitely not things that maybe Robert knows most of them. I know almost none of them. And I'm like having to actually figure out how to play the most detailed sus version of whatever chord. And it's so fun to like drag them into your songwriting process, because just starting on a chord can make that, for me, my brain starts to go off if I hear like the right progression and I kind of hear the song.
Yeah.
I would do it on tab sites. Go like to Maisie was asking me the other day, like, how, if you didn't have YouTube, how would you figure out how to do stuff? It's like, I just still have the internet, luckily. Like, figure out my favorite songs and then try and hack my way through the tunes,
Yeah, guitar tabs is a savior of mine, for sure. Before I started trying to write with the bar chords and stuff, the one bar chord I could play was I think it's a C minor that you use in I Feel a Hot One, and you play it once, and that's like perfect for me, which is also another song that I love that rips my heart out and makes me cry. But like having that, and then having that one moment where you play the bar chord and then the song's over.
That's hilarious. Just move it down 2 frets and we're at the B minor, and we're solved.
For some reason, the lower the bar chord is, the harder it is to play.
It makes sense. Things are harder lower than that. Can we talk about the song we did together, or are we not announcing that, the new one?
I mean, sure.
Let's describe it for people. I think we've got a couple more minutes to talk. I'm stoked on this song.
I'm so excited for this because It still, for me, has like a lot of the same elements as the record, and you can tell that you can pick out the similarities, but it is also like vastly different from anything I've done before. And I don't know, the little rocker girl in me from high school and middle school is ecstatic because I've always wanted to be able to. I remember actually asking my choir teacher when I was in like 8th grade and being like, hey, can you teach me how to scream like Vince Neil? And he was just like, you kind of just have to figure it out. And I just never was able to project before. And it was always just like a soft, my usual singing voice. And I don't know what it was. I think it was maybe like having gotten so comfortable in the studio with you guys when we did the record that I was just willing to try it, even if it sounded really bad. I just wanted to try it, and it ended up working out. And so like the louder more and more I project, the heavier we can go with the instruments, and I guess the more we can do it. It was just
we got pretty heavy too, which is pretty awesome. Didn't you, the first time you did it, it was like, I know you're going to hate me, but just give it a shot. Didn't you turn your voice all the way down and you were just singing like in tune with yourself? And it was like, we all started freaking out.
Yeah, I didn't want to hear myself in the headphones. I didn't want to hear what I sounded like on the computer because I was scared it was going to be bad, and then I was going to get self-conscious, and then I was just like not going to do it. But I knew that if I could give it a couple tries, it might work.
And it worked.
And it did.
I hope that it comes out soon for folks to hear. But yeah, I think working together is just that is, you know, the next piece that we've worked on felt like already an evolution. I'm stoked to keep making stuff together.
Yeah, I already like hear a huge jump forward. I want to say it's like, I don't know if I want to call it progress because I don't want to knock the record, but I hear a lot of growth.
Yeah, I think progress is an okay thing to say. I mean, you want progress forever in your career. I think you always want to like be trying to push yourself to make things that are, you know, more challenging for you and hopefully not more challenging for the listener in a negative way. I feel like when you stop doing that, stuff can start to get a little stale. So I'm still terrified of Manchester Records. I just don't want to disappoint myself, you know?
Right.
I think we've talked for 30 minutes, which I'm very proud of.
Great. That's 30 minutes.
Anything else in those 30 minutes of my life? Anything else we should wrap up with?
I personally, we've kind of talked about this before, I want to keep trying for new genres and keep exploring and stuff. Are you going to do that with Manchester? Is that what the other side projects are for?
I feel like Manchester's probably going to sound like me with like different things around it. And I'm always way interested in changing the clothing of what that thing is, you know, not as an act of like rebellion towards what we've done, but more as like, how can we keep pushing further, you know? But I think they're always going to be my songs in a sense. So it's, you know, unless I start drastically changing the way I write the basics of the songs, I'm not sure if I would ever totally change genres. I don't know. Genre's kind of tricky. It's like, I think I could definitely have a very pop sounding Manchester song and not be against that. You know, you and I've talked about how much we both love pop music in general. It's done really well. I like exploring, like basically the way you're talking about it, where I want to explore the different avenues of how we can sound. Side projects are really fun for like doing something totally outside the box. You know, if I wanted to like have a pop punk band, I might like do a pop punk EP but probably not make a pop punk Manchester record, you know?
I don't know. The first one's a little pop punk at times.
Our first record?
Yeah.
Maybe more punk pop.
Yeah.
We didn't have a ton of the like breakdowns.
I always the way you pronounce the words.
Oh yes, well sure. I mean that's like it's a disciple of Tom DeLonge and Doug Marsh from Built to Spill. They both had.
It's not whiny. Which
right. I was always amazed at Doug Marsh's voice for Built to Spill because he was from like Idaho or Iowa, and he sounded like he was from SoCal. The Plan. No, I think pop punk is an underrated genre, kind of. I really love. I'm not an active listener to it, but like the melodic stuff and what that stuff was the bridge for me to figure out some records that I connected with deeply was really cool. I think that was sort of a bridge with like kind of new metal-ish rock, like the stuff that was rock around the time I was really figuring out rock music was sometimes a little bit painful. It was the like, well, I don't even need to say it, but basically just, I don't need to drop any band names, but basically, you know, modern rock from like 99 to 2002. It's like there was some shaky rock stuff on the radio. So stuff like pop punk and emo and hardcore music and indie and folk and bedroom stuff, that was all like, man, please give me all of it, you know?
That's awesome. Oh, we just got I'm just now seeing this message from Daniel. How did you guys meet and find out about it?
Oh, I haven't even seen the messages. Sorry.
Not either. Sorry, man. We're like 20 minutes late to that too.
Let's finish this and then I think we've done it.
Yeah. How did we meet?
Yeah, I was playing a show in Virginia, I remember, and you hit me up on Twitter, I think, and had said, you know, have something I want to ask you about, and we met each other and were mutual friends. Then I think you know, I didn't know that you were a huge fan of our band, which you've since told me over and over.
I've tried to
everyone.
At the beginning and like incrementally, like as time goes on, like the more you realize that I'm not actually like insane, I will like sprinkle in a little bit more like how much I really, really, really love your music.
Yeah, like when you were like quoting like a deep track from the first Bad Books album, I was like, okay, she knows like more than the singles.
Yeah, or like the stuff that you did with like Frightened Rabbit and like.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and I've done some extensive like YouTube research too. Like I don't think I've told you this, but
there's a lot there.
Fresh Prince. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's the thing that I did. YouTube is fascinating for me after all these years. It's a lot to see.
Yeah, I try and like play cool and not be like insane, but once you saw like the tattoo I got for the band, then it's like, all right.
It was a done deal.
Move! He's such
Look at him.
He's such an attention whore. Hi. Look at that.
I'm talking about a cat for anyone who's just listening to the audio. She's not talking about me.
Talking about Frodo.
So then you made an EP called The Soundflowers, and I thought your voice was great and the songs were cool. And we met each other at a show, which is crazy. One of the last shows I played, the end of 2019. And yeah, we just kind of kept in touch, and it was the next summer, right? It was like last summer that we got in touch about making some music together.
Yeah, I was so nervous upon meeting you that I dropped beer and spilled it everywhere.
That's right. And you were very concerned about spilling a beer backstage at a rock show, which we tried to let you know was.
Yeah.
You were the 50th person who'd done it that night.
I don't know. I was nervous, which I usually like don't get super nervous. I mean, like I got nervous when I met Alice Cooper and like cried in his face.
Where did you meet him?
I saw him play on Halloween with the Hollywood Vampires at Pantages. I had seen him with Motley Crue a few years prior, but seeing him at Pantages, I was able to like meet him. He was doing meet and greets backstage after the show, and I like was in tears, like I love you so much.
That's amazing.
He was like, "Okay, kid, thanks."
Like the scene from Wayne's World, where they say that to Alice Cooper.
I definitely wanted to get on my hands and knees and bow, but like that's just he's probably got.
Oh, I would have loved to have asked him how many people do that to him now. That's got to be a thing.
Probably everyone.
I would do that to him.
Yeah.
I'd be that guy. Well, it's awesome catching up with you. I love you very much.
Me too.
Are you going to go back to sleep, or are you starting for the day?
Go back to sleep, man. Go straight back.
Well, I appreciate the time.
Another 3 hours.
All right. Well, thank you, Spen. We appreciate y'all wanting to hear us talk to each other about whatever we're talking about. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day.